ما أريد من هذا الشعب إلا أن يزيد في الحمد والشكر إلى الله عز وجل، ويزيد من محبة الوطن، ويزيد من العمل ومضاعفة العمل لما يسعى فيه من خير له وللدولة والأهل. هذا اللي أنا أدوره من الشعب، وربنا إن شاء الله يوفقنا جميعا على ما يحب ويرضى.
You know, as a foreigner and as a host of this country, I would say that I have always appreciated to be in an Arabic country which is managing to be successful by remaining independent and by keeping its value, which is surprising if you think that here we are more than 90% foreigners.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your favorite program, Peers of Union, which invites the most successful people here in the UAE. Today from Dubai City with Dr. Francois RYCX, the owner of RYCX Legal Consultant. Welcome, Mr.
Thank you, Rahma, and nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So we are so pleased to meet you today. So today we'll talk about your big career, about your successful journey. That's why in the beginning we need more details about you to present you to everyone. We need to talk about your professional experiences and your educational background as well.
You know, I'm a little bit old, so my story is a little bit long. But I came here 27 years ago. But before this, I made other things, obviously. First, I made the studies, okay, and my education, in fact, was a kind of double education, okay, by chance, I would say. You know, you choose sometimes your education by chance. First thing, I went to the law and to the legal studies, and I made legal studies in the south of France, in the French town of Aix-en-Provence, which is a small town in the south of France. I was there at the university, and I studied law. I took equivalent of a license, which is the first diploma, then the master, then the diploma in high studies, and then at the very end, I reached the diploma, the doctorate in law. This was, I would say, for the legal side, and this legal side is taking a lot of years, in fact. The point is that at the same time, and also by chance, I decided, because I was intending to go to foreign affairs. I was wanting to work in international matters. So I said, okay, you need foreign language, and it happens, I have no link with the Arab world, but I decided to study Arabic. So what I did, first thing, I made the lowest level we can do. I went to the French School of Oriental Studies, where you can learn a lot of languages, Russian, Chinese, Urdu, any language you want. This is also including Arabic. So I took a kind of double diploma in this institute, one which was in Arabia Fusha, in Arabic, and the other one which was in Egyptian language. Then after this, I got a grant, minha, from the Egyptian government, and I went to Cairo to complete a little bit my studies in Arabic. So my way of studying was a little bit strange, because I was studying Arabic and law at the same time, and very often I was even abroad, you know. So my second year of law, for example, was made in Cairo, in a center which was at the level of the French consulate. There was a kind of library in which you can study. So I made my second year of law by correspondence through this library. So then after this, I continued my studies in Arabic and in Arabic history and Arabic literature. I took my diploma, a license, what we call in France a license, diploma in Arabic literature. And I made another diploma, which was a master in literature about Arabic literature. I made a kind of memo, which was a translation of Kitab Adab al-Kasb wal-Ma'aj l'Imam al-Ghazali. It's a part, you know, of Ihya Ulumuddin, okay? Yeah. So there was no translation about this. I made it. I studied a little bit the context, you know. It was linked to the Arabic law, to the Sharia. It was also linked to the, you know, that Al-Ghazali was a man of his time, you know, and to understand the environment and the I would say the historical environment of this book was fascinating, was very interesting. In particular, at that time, they discovered in the Keniza of Cairo documents that were linked to the economy. And Kitab Adab al-Kasb wal-Ma'ash was in fact about economy and the way to earn your life under good Islamic, you know, Islamic precepts and principles. So this is what I did for this. And on the, I would say, on the side of law, I made two memos. One was my memo for the studies in high studies in law, and the other one was my thesis. For my the higher diploma in law, I chose something which was not easy at that time, which was the status of Palestinians in Syria. You know, it was years ago. You know, things have moved since that time. But at that time, one of the questions was raised: what was the status of the Palestinian under Hafez al-Assad in Syria? So I studied this matter from the legal point of view, from the side of international law. And for my thesis, I took the Al-Mashru'at al-Arabiyya al-Mushtaraka, which was, you know, all those joint ventures that were created between the Arabic governments at the time of the oil crisis. That means after 73, when the money came in the Arab countries in big quantity, and they had to try to make together some investments. So they created some huge companies, and which were most of them created by international agreements. So there was legalities, the legal points to study about how they fix between the international law and the internal law for having those companies running. So it was the subject of my thesis. So this is more or less for my education. Just to be added that I made also another diploma, which was a training for lawyers. I made the school for the lawyers, because we have a school for the lawyers, and I made it in Aix-en-Provence in the south of France. Wow. So this is for the education, you know.
Wow, great, sir. You have faithful journey and rich experiences in many fields, and you are expanding all over the world, actually. So you have been here since 27 years.
I have been in the UAE since 27 years. Yes, I came, the first time I came here was in '97 through an Indian client. At that time, I was a lawyer. You know, my career was I had several careers. At the very beginning of my studies, I was working for the French embassy in Cairo for 2 times, you know, first time in 2 different functions, but they created a kind of center for research about the Arab world. And I was in charge of launching this center, and I worked with them in Cairo for 4 years. I was not at all a diplomat. I was just working with, you know, with the cultural services. And I was in charge of some cooperation with the university, which was a very interesting matter in Egypt. So it was a small part of my career for a few years, but it brought me for 8 years in Egypt in total. I had another one as a researcher, because I was also attached for years to the National Center for Scientific Research, which is the Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique in France. I was attached there as a lawyer speaking Arabic. So to study the question related to the Arabic legislation, laws, etc., about Middle East and North Africa. So I was attached to a center which was specialized on this kind of questions. And then I became the director of the Center for the Middle East for a few years. So it was a little bit my research career. That was for a few years with the Centre National de la Recherche Scientifique. Then I became a teacher. So I've been teaching 7 years at the University of Aix-en-Provence, teaching commercial law and the basis of civil law. And I have also taught, but it was much later. It was in UAE to the University of Sorbonne Abu Dhabi. I've taught in the master, at the level of the master. I taught the international contracts. I made it for 5 or 6 years. So it was another part of the career. All this was mixed at some time. It was overlapping, you know. And the last one was a lawyer. I became a lawyer very, very late. I became a lawyer when I was 40 years old, okay? And I decided all of a sudden to go as a lawyer because I had an experience in Cairo with the Camel Law Office, which is a law firm which is well known in Cairo. And it gave me the test to leave the research and to go leave the research and the teaching and to go to the practice. So I began at that time, it was in 92, and I became a lawyer in France. And then very quickly I decided to open the office in Dubai. So we managed both offices together at the beginning, France and Dubai. I was not full-time in Dubai at that time. I was only coming for 1 week at the very beginning, 1 week every month. And then progressively it became 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and now it's 4 weeks. So in fact, I'm never in France. I'm always here.
So, sir, you made a successful career and rich career, and you know it's not easy to make a career like this. So, what are the challenges that you have faced during your journey or at the beginning of your career?
You know, the challenges at the same time are what is making this funny. Okay, I think I like the thing where it's not always the same. So, okay, the first challenge was that as a student, I was married, I had children, and at the same time I was pursuing a cursus with Arabic language and literature and a cursus with law. All these together was a little bit a challenge because it was taking a lot of time. It was very, you had to be very involved in everything. Plus, you had to take care of your family, and you had to earn some money because family means also that they need to be educated, fed, etc. So it was the first challenge. Okay. Other challenge was effectively also that when you pursue several courses at the same time, you have to be like the Bahlawes, you have to play a little bit to be able to. Yeah, on the same time. So it was the second challenge. And the third challenge after was, but it was a challenge, at the same time it was a pleasure. It was to organize the life of the family abroad. Because my children were educated in the Arab world for more or less 8 to 10 years. So a part of their life was in France, a part of their life was in the Arabic world. In Algeria for 1 year, in Egypt, in Syria. And I will say that when I came to Dubai, they were all grown up and already students, and that they did not come for living in the UAE.
And why do you choose exactly the UAE for your work and for your life?
As I'm telling you, for me, things are very often coming by chance. It's very strange, by chance and opportunities. I had some experience of the Middle East, of Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, those areas. I had no experience of the Gulf area. And in '95, one of our clients, Indian clients, gave us an interesting fight in France against a Qatari company, a company which was in Qatar. And he was settled in Dubai. And he told me, but you're speaking Arabic, you're speaking a little bit English, you're speaking French, here it's developing, why you don't come? So try it, what I did. And when you try it, you adopt it. This is exactly what happened. So I tried, and then I was more and more here, and at the end of the way, I totally settled here.
And great, sir, because learning Arabic language, it's not easy at all. It's so difficult. Unfortunately,
it's not becoming your mother language. I have studied for years, I have some point of strength and some point of weakness.
Yeah.
The point of strength is that I can read any kind of thing in law. The legal matters, I'm very relaxed and I can read, I can easily have access to the documents. So this is good. I can read literature, etc. Point of weakness is that sometimes, you have a lot of larghat, of different accents, and sometimes you are surprised you don't understand. Okay? It never becomes your mother language if you have not been educated in it. It is a difficulty. You need to be Arab for doing this. Same time, I can express myself in Arabic. I can understand, and if somebody in front of me wants to be understood by me in Arabic, he can do it because we are adapting to each other. So it's not easy, at the same time it's possible.
And doctor, to overcome these challenges, we need our supporters. So who are your supporters? Who are the person who have inspired you, encouraged you during this journey to overcome these challenges?
Maybe I'm going to surprise you. My supporters have been women. And mainly I will say 3 women and 1 man. Okay? The 3 women were first my mother. Okay? And she was believing and she was pushing me. And she was leaving me free. Okay? Fundamentally, she was not afraid of what I was going to do. The second person was my wife. I married very young and she has always supported me. So she was the second person. And the third person, I'm speaking mainly from the office, she was my assistant, Elizabeth. She was with me as an assistant for more than 30 years. So we created together the French office, we created together the UAE office, okay? And I had another supporter, this time the man. This supporter was one of my professors, Maurice Flory. Maurice Flory was the head of the international department of the Faculty of Law in Aix-en-Provence. He supported me in the field of law, and very strangely, he supported me in the field of the Arabic world because at the same time he was at the head of the international section, the international department of international law. He was also the director of the Center of the Research for the Arabic World. So here you understand the link. When he saw me making Arabic and law together, he was exactly in the same trip. So he brought me. And he pushed me all along my career up to the time I was 35 years old.
Great, so you have a supportive environment.
I had a supportive environment, effectively, yes.
So, sir, today we are in your office. Let's talk about the first step. How was the first step of creating your office, and what are the variety of services that you are providing today?
I think at that time, I came in Dubai 27 years ago. The atmosphere was different, okay? I came here, I would say, with 2 suitcases. And Elizabeth, she had also 2 suitcases, you had 4 suitcases, and that was all. No license, nothing. We begin to work here, and to have your license, you need the authorization of the D1, the Department of Legal Affairs. At that time, the Department of Legal Affairs was mainly one mustashar, one who was in charge, he was Jordanian. And one lady, she was the secretary. And in fact, by visiting him regularly, by explaining him what I was wanting to do, by showing my diploma, there was a file. One day he told me, you always want to register as a lawyer in Dubai? I said, yes. He told me, okay, you're welcome, and he gave me the authorization of the Department of Legal Affairs. It began like this. I'm sure today you cannot do it. The atmosphere is changing. Now you have an administration, a strong department, etc. But at that time, it was much more flexible, I may say. So I began like this. I took this license. I took my license at the level of the Department of Economic Affairs in Dubai. Not a great deal. It was easy. You are welcome in Dubai. This is a beauty. And we begin the work like this, I would say, with very few clients. And we build progressively. With foreign clients and more after with the French. The French are always a little bit cautious, and when they see that you are surviving, they come to you. Exactly what happened to us. So
let's talk more about the challenges that you have faced in the beginning of creating your office or during running your office.
The first challenge you have at the very beginning, if you come alone, I would say is somewhere a financial challenge. You have to maintain your office in France, and sometimes you have to develop your office in Dubai.
Yeah.
And you have to...
So it's to manage the two offices.
You have to manage the two offices, you know, and you have the cost. And we have always been self-supported somewhere. At the beginning, the French office has totally supported the office in Dubai. You know, everything was coming from the French office. Yeah. And progressively, I would say it was the reverse. You know, Dubai was getting more and more clients, and then progressively Dubai took all the place and make all the turnover. And now the French office is totally supported by the office of Dubai, because I'm working in Dubai.
Exactly. So now, if I ask you about the special imprint, what is the special imprint that RYCX legal consultant has made?
You know, it's a little bit like all the law firms. All law firms are more or less working in the same areas. But it's clear that for us, I hope we have been useful mainly for small and medium-sized companies, and mainly French companies, who were coming here, who were looking for French-speaking lawyers, okay, able also to speak in English and to speak in Arabic. We are not so numerous, you know, we are very few. We helped mainly at the beginning the setting up of those kind of companies, you know. And as you know, there is a free zone and there is we will say the mainland registration. And at that time, there was also the sponsorship, as you remember, okay. And okay, to help them in this was the first part of our first slice, I would say, of our work. Then there was all what is linked to the contracts, to the distribution contracts, because at that time, you know, distribution contracts were also something very important. And progressively, we developed in other areas, like real estate, like labor law, but mainly serving the medium-sized French companies, or European companies. We can say we are not only French, but we are mainly French. And also serving the French community, or the French-speaking community. They can be Belgian, they can be from Switzerland, they can be, you know, from other countries. Main part always from France. And they have also specific problems of the expatriates. And for this also, they need sometimes a French lawyer. And
in Canada also, right?
In Canada, we did not have so much Canadian clients. I think there are some Canadian law firms here, and they are going more to those law firms. So our clients are European. We had some Americans, some Canadians, yes, but very few. Very few. We are much more linked to Europe and linked to France.
And sir, what are the plans and the strategies that you have followed to reach this distinctive name despite the fierce competition in this field, and especially in Dubai?
Well, I just think, you know, we are not prospecting a lot for the clients. We have clients, and the clients are bringing to us the other clients. And at the end of the way, I would say I had no real strategy. The strategy was to obtain more files, to make the client satisfied. And if the client is satisfied, it brings you new clients. Okay, you must also show a little bit yourself in some places, otherwise the people don't know that you are here. And sometimes, you know, the picture they have, the image they have of you is very surprising. Sometimes you cross people and they say, "Oh, you're a registering company." Yes, I'm only doing this at the beginning, you know. But sometimes you are surprised to see that by lack of communication, in fact, the people don't know exactly what you are doing, okay? Yeah. But progressively and through the clients, the main strategy we have followed was a strategy: follow your clients, they will follow you. And this is what happened, in fact, up to now. I think now we are going to go to another phase, because we need to communicate more. But at that time, it has been enough to develop the office.
So, sir, if I ask you about your future vision, what do you aspire to? We will see other branches internally and externally?
Yes, we are in a plan to develop. We are in a plan to develop on, I would say, 2 or 3 lines. The first line is that I think it's time now for us in UAE to put together the experience and the skills of accounting and auditing with the skills of law. I'm not an accountant, I'm not an editor, but we find a partner, French people, who are taking a license, and we are going to try to a little bit cross the license, create a kind of French group that will give always to the medium-sized company, because we have always the same target, the medium-sized company. You know, sometimes medium-sized company can be big, you know, at least for us. They can have a lot of work, a lot of turnover, a lot of people to manage, and so we have always the same target. But to put together the abilities and the skills of the law and of the accountancy, particularly due to the fact that now, with the taxes coming in the UAE, we are in a new world. We are in a new world. Things are going to totally change, and moreover, it's going to be linked to the countries of departure, because a company which is going to be now. Which is going to be submitted to the taxation of its profits, has also to respond to certain taxation on the French side or the European side. And you have to create the link between the two. So we are developing on this double field, law and auditing, plus always on the medium-sized companies and expatriates, but knowing that now we have to link more between the UAE and the country of origin, in particular for taxation reasons. Plus, we are developing Saudi Arabia. Great. Because we want to keep the basis. As you know, Saudi people, they want everybody to go to their country. they are right, but same time Dubai is there. We don't intend to leave Dubai, but same time we are trying to develop in Saudi Arabia, because it's a very big field, a very big area. Maybe there is competition somewhere with the UAE, but also somewhere there is complementarity. You know, it's a little bit when you speak about Dubai and Abu Dhabi. I remember the discussion 30 years ago, where Dubai and Abu Dhabi going to separate or not separate. All this was not serious, because at the end of the way, there is a kind of emulation, a kind of competition, but it works together. And it's giving force to each other. Okay, that's very clear. I think with Saudi Arabia, it's a little bit different. It's not a federation. Okay, we are not in a federation between UAE and Saudi Arabia. But same time, those two countries are not exactly in the same spirit. It's different, but you can work on both from one of them. And for me, my choice is to work from Dubai and the UAE, in UAE and in Saudi Arabia. This is the target. And to create the team. And this team now is going to be a team a little bit different. We will have people here in UAE, but we are also taking people in France, because we need now that the French companies and the expatriates, they need a team which is able to deal on both sides and to aggregate, to put the things together, cooperate, you know.
So best of luck, sir. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Now let's talk about the UAE. What are the most important laws and regulations established by the UAE and applied throughout the legal consulting sector?
There is nothing really specific to the legal consulting sector, except yes. Here there is more. I'm not going to be technical, okay, because it's not very interesting to be technical at this level. But I will say, what are the important decisions that have been taken in the UAE on the last years, or I would say the laws that have been very important for the development? I would say one of these was the abandonment of the sponsorship. Okay, as you know, there is a discussion about the sponsorship. There is even a film which is discussed this day, etc. I don't want to enter in this. I think the sponsorship has been very useful for the UAE. The UAE, at a certain level, was needing the sponsorship, and the sponsorship was a part of the social consensus in the UAE. And it was very important to understand it and to understand how it was working and to explain it to the clients. And I have been for years to explain to the clients why it was here and how it was working and how it could be interesting if it was correctly, you know, taken in view. Same time, it has been very important to leave it, okay, because it has created what was waited, you know. I saw that it took 20 years, in fact. Every year we were saying how sponsorship is going to be modified, is going to be changed, and it was not coming. But I think they have been very pragmatic. They made it slowly. They made it calmly. They made trying and stopping, and you try again, you know. And at the end of the way, they totally let it go. Okay, and I think this evolution was very important. A second set of laws that was very important is that they decided at a certain point that the foreigners may purchase real estate in the UAE. At the very beginning, there was, I would say, no law. It was, the legal ground was empty. And progressively they created the law. And I would say that now we have a set of law which is not very complex. You know, I'm coming from a country where the laws are very complex. Okay, France, you know this. But same time here, the laws are not so much complex. We need interpretation. We need sometimes more law. But at the same time, we have a good basis for dealing in real estate. Even if we take the law about the relation between landlords and tenants, this law is simple, a little bit basic, but at least clear, and you can work with it. And it's applied. Okay? I would say this is a kind of law which has been very important for this country. Other laws that may have been important also, what can we say? Yes, the new laws about companies, okay? There was a law in 2015, then 2021. It was mixed a little bit with direct foreign investments, you know, the special law that came for this in the middle. And the sponsorship, in fact, was abandoned progressively through those laws, okay? Those laws were also, I think, very important for the UAE. I would say what is also important is what we are seeing those days in the development of taxation. Okay, nobody is happy to pay taxes. This country was a country without taxes, and sometimes it was criticized because of this. It's a kind of tax haven, and it makes things a little bit like the devil. In fact, I think they have been very pragmatic. They have decided to go to a certain diversification, and the diversification means also that humans have some means, and the means cannot only be the oil. And by the way, there is no oil in Dubai. So they decided at the level of the federation, to create a basis of taxation, and for the time being, it's pragmatic. They begin by the VAT, as you know, we are all submitted to this, but they continued by the taxation on profit of the companies. And I will say that first thing, it's fair. It's not a huge taxation, it's 9%. The small businesses for the time being are exempted. It's a taxation on the profit, not a taxation on the labor. And there is no taxation, but no taxes, direct taxes on the salaries, for example, which is somewhere, it's a taxation on the real profit of the company, not on the labor. So they are entering in the process of progressively making of this country a country where you have a taxation, where the state has some financial means, not only the oil, but also financial means coming from taxation to build. And they make it in a way which, for the time being, looks fair, adapted, and pragmatic. When you come from a country where the taxation is so huge, as my country of origin, you say, okay, well, you cannot compare because we are not in the same atmosphere, in the same population, in the same history, etc. But at the same time, you see that for the time being, in the UAE, it looks good steps. It looks going on the good side. Other laws that, in my opinion, are good also here is the labor law. Okay, the labor law is trying to protect the employee without creating a burden to the employer which is too heavy. So effectively, if you are on the side of the employee and you compare to some countries like in Europe, for example, you may say, employees are more protected in Europe. But at the same time, I see that the pragmatic way in which they are dealing with the labor law here makes that the market is open. The market is, you can change easily your job. It's open. It's a quality. It has not all the qualities, but at least it has the qualities of flexibility and adaptability. Plus, it's clear because here the law basically simple. They don't try to bother you with complicated things and with a lot of declaration, you know. The law is simple. We can compare this to what we have in compliance. In compliance, it's exactly the contrary, but it's not the laws of the country. The compliance of the banks are becoming bothering, are becoming like administration in Europe, are becoming very heavy. It's not created by this country, it's created by international pressure. And here you see that it creates a real burden, which is not the case, for example, of labor law of the UAE. It does not create a burden. It puts the limits in which you may say to somebody, stop it. You cannot go further without being unfair. So it's a little bit basic, but at the same time, it's working well.
So, sir, after your faithful journey and rich experiences, after your rich career and after these success stories, how can you define success today?
The success today, I would say, is to be able to do what you like by just earning enough money to continue to do it. This is the professional side. And same time by keeping some room for living something else than working. Okay? For me, the success is a little bit low profile, but I think if you reach this, you are already happy. Plus, to make it on your own is funny, which is okay. The lawyer can make it on his own because you can create your own company, and this is funny. Now you can be an employee with the same state of mind, trying to be happy with what you are doing by just earning the money that you need to make the style of life that you want. This is something which makes you happy.
So, sir, you know, lots of people from audience, they are a new generation and they see from your story something special inspired them. So what is your advice to the new generation?
You know, it's difficult for me to be advisor of the new generation. You know, sometimes they are more my advisor, in particular when I'm behind my computer and I need to understand what is happening in my computer. But I would say be enthusiastic, don't hesitate to learn, be curious. I think curiosity is something that we must have, everybody. I mean, the young and the old, everybody, we must continue to be curious. Enter in action. Don't think that the games are played in advance. Enter in action, make action. The result of this action will most probably not be what you were waiting for, but it will be something different that would have never happened if you don't enter in action. So enter in action, and after you will see. And believe in life, because things are coming.
Thank you so much, sir, for your advice. So, sir, as you know, the UAE has for sure contributed to your success story. So what is your appreciation message you would like to convey through our episode to the UAE and its rulers?
You know, as a foreigner and as a host of this country, I would say that I have always appreciated to be in an Arabic country, which is managing to be successful by remaining independent and by keeping its value, which is surprising if you think that here we are more than 90% foreigners. This, I would say, equilibrium, which is unique in the world, you know, is the first thing which makes me interested to live in the UAE, because it's the sole country where you have this kind of specific situation. The second thing is that here they have managed to be independent by creating rules that are somewhere simple and by applying those rules with, I would say, an authority which is real but measured. That means you have authority, but it's measured. And you know, if you speak with the foreigners, I think particularly with the Europeans, but it's not only with the Europeans, and you ask somebody coming from Europe and within Dubai what he is liking, I don't know if you will be surprised of this, but the first response which is coming is, here you have security and there is tolerance. You can live as you want. Same time, for having this security and for keeping this tolerance, you need two other conditions. And the two other conditions that you need to have an authority which is going to stop the abuse in case there is an abuse. And here, this authority is here. And same time, this authority must be tolerant and apply its strength with comprehension, with by understanding the different point of view. And this is what we are finding here. I think for this, UAE can be taken as an example. We have all a problem with this, in particular in Europe. The way in which we are discussing this matter in Europe is rather different. Our conditions are totally different, but what is happening here on that level is particularly interesting and exemplary.
Thank you so much, sir. It was my pleasure talking with you today. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dear audience, this is the end of our episode. Watch us next week. Goodbye.